Right, ladies and gentlemen, at the very start of the webinar, we've had a talk on the postgraduate diploma in labor law, but now we're looking at masters and doctoral. Labor law, our expert here and who will introduce us into this field is Dr. Esti Gresse.
Good morning, goeiemorgen, dumelang, savubona. Are you a final year student with an interest in labor law? Or are you perhaps already a practicing attorney who wishes to acquire more detailed knowledge about the South African labor law? The LLM program in labor law at Noordwes-Universiteit enables students to obtain current and relevant knowledge on the South African labor law and equips students with tools to solve complex labor law issues in practice. This program is ideal for those who are already practicing in labor law and wishes to stay up to date, or for those who are only starting their law careers and aspires to be labor law experts. We aim to offer a highly professional and comprehensive program covering the most important aspects of labor law. I compiled a list of frequently asked questions based on correspondence I receive from time to time. Firstly, how many modules are included in this program? You will have 5 modules in total. In the first semester, we offer individual labor law and collective labor law. Individual labor law is presented by Dr. Botes, a senior lecturer in our faculty. In this module, many themes related to individual labor law are dealt with, such as unfair dismissal, unfair labor practices, employment equity, and many others. The other first semester module is collective labor law, also offered by one of the senior lecturers in the faculty, Mr. Nukumise. In this module, topics such as freedom of association and organizational rights are unpacked. In the second semester, we offer 2 more modules, being public international and comparative labor law, and social security and occupational health and safety law. The first module I mentioned is offered by one of the research professors in our faculty, Prof. Chitamira. Many interesting topics will be discussed in both of these modules, such as the influence of international best practices on the South African labor law, and then also regional aspects of social security and labor law. The other second semester module is offered by one of our extraordinary professors, Professor Marius Olivier. It must also be noted that it will be required of all students to submit a research proposal followed by a mini dissertation. Students will also have to attend research methodology workshops and also work in close collaboration with their study supervisor. Then secondly, one of the most frequent questions I receive relates to on the days lectures are presented, also on which campus this program is offered. This program is currently offered on 2 of our campuses, the Potchefstroom and the Mahikeng campus. There will be more or less 4 contact sessions per module, which is usually scheduled on a Saturday. One of the lectures for the year will, however, fall on a Friday and a Saturday. This year, due to the COVID pandemic, all of our lectures were successfully presented using various virtual platforms. Then another question I frequently receive relates to the assessment of the LLM modules. In other words, what is the method for evaluation for the different modules? Is it exam-based? Is it open book or is it closed book? There will be 2 assignments per module during the course of each semester. From that, the participation will be calculated. The average of the 2 assignments, provided that both assignments were passed with a minimum of 50%, will be used to calculate the participation. Naturally, a student therefore needs at least a minimum of 50% to also gain access to the examination of a particular module. Final exams are also written for all of the different modules in both semesters. The nature of the exam largely depends on each lecturer, but for the labor law program, it is primarily a sit-down examination and it must be completed within 4 hours. The exam also has to be passed with a minimum of at least 50%. The average of the participation and the exam mark then forms the final module mark, which also has to be a minimum of at least 50%. Then another question I frequently receive is the seminar program the same for our part-time and our full-time students? Yes, we do not draw a distinction. I have a diploma. Will I qualify to be admitted for an LLM? Unfortunately, you need an LLB or another equivalent 4-year legal qualification, which allows you access to the legal profession. What is the closing date for applications? Applications will close by 31 October. Then, I do not see dispute resolution as a possible module, as is the case with Nelson Mandela University. Could this be an option for Northwest University in 2021? Dispute resolution is a subtopic covered in the module Collective Labour Law in the first semester. To conclude, labour law plays an instrumental role in the reduction of inequality and poverty. Further, the fourth industrial revolution calls for the constant amendment of labour laws. The world of work as we know it is constantly changing, and the fourth industrial revolution will have both positive and negative impacts on the world of work as we know it. As future labour practitioners, you will need to have a sound understanding of all the relevant national, regional, as well as international policies and legislation. And our master program exists to bridge this gap and to equip students with the necessary knowledge and skills to adapt to this changing environment. I look forward to meet you in 2021.
Dr. Gresa, thank you so much, and for all those typical questions that you've answered now. Some of them we've seen here, and some of them you've answered already. Thank you so much. There is one question still. We've answered it partially when we spoke about the postgraduate diploma, and it's a question about working at the CCMA. The question is specifically, does one need an LLM in labour law to work at the CCMA? Now, in the diploma, we've had the answer that after completion of the diploma, you work in a mentorship program for a few months still, but that was the diploma. Now we're talking about the masters. What's your answer to the question?
Thank you for the question. Yes, definitely. And that is only merely one of the options that you will have once you qualify with an LLM. So working at the CCMA, you can perhaps work as a commissioner. You will have to undergo, if I'm not mistaken, 6 months training still after you've completed your LLM at the CCMA. But you can also, of course, act as a legal advisor for one of the parties or as a legal representative. Remember, there's different stages or processes followed at the CCMA. So perhaps you can help your client to prepare for a conciliation session, or there can be a con-op session at the CCMA where legal representation are allowed. So then you can either act as a legal practitioner or, of course, then as the commissioner at the CCMA.
Dr. Gresa, labour law is such a broad field as well. I can imagine that many students knock on your door with the idea, I want to study in labour law, but when it comes to choice of focus, perhaps then they struggle. How do you go about in guiding them and helping them decide on a focal area within their research?
Okay, so you're talking specifically about the research of in the program. Okay, yes, definitely. The best or the advice that I usually give students is to go read. You open, I don't think our students read the newspaper in the traditional manner these days, but if they open their Facebook and the News 24 comes up, the news feed, basically there's daily news articles on possible strike action in the government about failure of a raise, or picketing happening at some company, or a company who committed an unfair labour practice. So I always give advice to the students is to go read. And once you've done the reading and you've done your research, it will assist you then to identify the gap, as we can call it, and then to identify research problems. So it starts with reading. I always tell even my undergraduate students, you have to, if you want to practice law, you have to have a love to read. And you really have to read a lot in order to identify a possible research problem.
Dr. Estie Gresse, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about labor law. We appreciate your presence here.